Ireno Ramirez, a 61-year-old farmer from Baha Calatagan, Batangas, is continuing the fight that his father-in-law started nearly 5 decades ago. His wife's parents were tenants before they became beneficiaries of the land reform program under the Presidential Decree No. 27. However, after 10 years of working on the land that his wife inherited, Tatay No's lifelong dream of working peacefully on a land that he calls his own is about to be shattered into pieces. Together with his fellow agrarian reform beneficiaries in Baha Talibayog, Tatay No has been involved in a land controversy since 1995. The lands awarded to them under the government's agrarian reform program are being threatened by greed and government inaction.
So ilan na lang po kayo ngayon na lumalaman?
Sa dito, mga Talibayog yung mga megit lang 100, mga 100 megit lang.
Dati po, nung una kayo nag-marcha, ilan po?
Yung pa na naniwala sa kayo na mabili ka ng lupa at sabi ang pumaritano ko o hindi ka hindi ka bumili yun parang nang ganyan hindi sila naisip na bago rapot siya lupa ipiriglaban mo niya bago rin siya
Tatay No is but one of the many farmers in Calatagan who are struggling to keep their land. They are fighting to keep 507 hectares of land, which covers barangays Baha and Talibayog. Formerly owned by the Asque family, this land was distributed to farmers from both barangays under the PD 27 in 1989. 818 emancipation patents were distributed among 312 farmers in Baha Talibayog. They used the agricultural land given to them to plant rice and vegetables such as okra, bitter gourd, eggplant, string beans, and tomatoes. A hectare of land yields 5 to 6 tons of fruits and vegetables in one harvest. This is equivalent to 45,000 to 50,000 pesos per harvest. Besides farming, residents of Baha Talibayog also earn from fishing in the Balayan Bay. They depend on their crops and fish catch as a main source of income. The majority of the residents of Baha Talibayog are perfectly contented with their living arrangement. Earnings from their produce and fish catch are more than enough to cover their cost of living. They do not have to worry about food, since they have vegetables and fruits planted in their backyards. Middlemen also provide capital at minimal interest rates to those who lack funds for farming. They practically only need to worry about electric bills, fertilizer, and diesel expenses. Other than that, they can find everything they need within their barangays. Baha Talibayog is also a very tightly knit community. People have an extraordinary sense of community, so much so that they consider themselves to be members of one big family. They also value tradition and their principles. Today, however, many years after residents of Baha Talibayog were given their land titles, they are faced with an enormous struggle of keeping their lands amid the threat of mining from Asturias chemical industries.
Sa dalawang barangay, malaki talaga yung problema na kinakaharap dahil sa pag-agos ang lupa ng Asturias chemical industry. Hanggang sa ngayon, ang problema namin ay nasa dar na ulit, balik ulit sa dar dahil yung mga titulo ng aming mga lupa ay pinapakansila na nila. Pinapakansila. Hiniling o pinitisyon ng Asturias sa dar na ikansila na yung aming mga titulo. Kaya kailangan namin talaga ang suporta sa mga
Asturias Industries is the corporation which is responsible for challenging the rights of the land in question, that of Baha Talibayog. The disputed 507 acres of land was formerly owned by Seferino Asque, and the citizens of Baha and Talibayog were previously tenants to the land. In 1990, 2 years after the enactment of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, the property was distributed to the tenants. Being a tenanted rice and corn land, the 507-hectare Asque property was distributed to 318 tenant farmers under the Operation Land Transfer of the Marcos Land Reform Law, Presidential Decree No. 27. A total of 818 emancipation patents were distributed to the agrarian reform beneficiaries. However, in 1995, the heirs of Seferino Asque sold the mother title to Asturias Industries despite the fact the land had been previously distributed to the farmer tenants. In 1996, the barangays of Baha and Talibayog separated their union to focus on individual priorities pertaining to the villages, as well as to concentrate their efforts in establishing rights to their own land. However, due to numerous efforts put forth by Asturias, which included scholarship incentives for students, holiday parties aimed at youth, coastal cleanup on local beaches, skill training for local workers, as well as financial incentives for individual households, the two communities reunited, creating the Task Force of Baha Talibayog in 2005. As a united front, the goal of the task force was to have the national government recognize and honor the land rights given to the affected tenants of Baha and Talibayog. Their purpose was to gain support both locally and nationally by garnering public attention. In order to accomplish these goals, they took the following actions.
In order to combat Asturias' encroachments, the task force of Baha Talibayog carried out several actions. They have held 4 marches, 3 completed, from their farms in Calatagan to the Malacanang in Manila in order to gain national recognition. With these marches came successful media coverage, which discussed the issue regarding land rights far beyond the Batangas provincial borders. The task force has also created a web page to make the greater public aware of their plight. The creation of a website serves as a way to formalize their position to the public, aiming to be recognized as a body that functions like similarly established organizations. However, the web page has not created much of an impact as of yet due to the basic information provided. The task force has assigned lawyers to their case who were connected to them through the NGO Kaisahan. In addition to Kaisahan, other NGOs have educated the community members through legal education and training, which was clearly visible in the technical vocabulary used in casual conversation. This has given them the legitimacy to challenge the Supreme Court and take legal actions against Asturias. The results of these actions have been largely successful until April 2012 when they lost their source of funding from their lawyers and are now searching for new strategies to maintain legal representation. To prevent Asturias from entering the village with their construction and mining materials, they initiated a 24-hour checkpoint barricade. In 2008, the barricade proved effective as Asturias attempted to enter the village. Members of the task force were rallied and lied down in the middle of the street to prevent mining equipment from entering. The mining equipment was accompanied by the police, who also attempted to coerce the villagers into conceding to Asturias. On this occasion, the task force was successful in preventing their opposition from entering the barangay. These checkpoints now serve as regular security for the community in case Asturias decides to make an unannounced visit to the community. The most significant prevalent action taken by the task force are the numerous signages found throughout the barangay to inform community members and regional officials about what Asturias' intentions are, as well as the challenging opposition of the task force. These signs, some of which are in English while others are in Tagalog, are easily viewed at several locations along the only road in and out of Baha Talibayog, a sure sign that their message is being clearly communicated.
Where are they right now? They are in debt. Since losing their funding from their NGO supporter, Task Force Baha Talibayog has failed to cover its legal costs, which now amount to 45,000 pesos. They also received a notice of cancellation from the Department of Agrarian Reform. While this does not entail that the task force members' lands will be grabbed immediately, this is another drawback for them. In addition, 2 former leaders of the task force have defected to the Asturias camp and are now sympathizers. Following this turn of events, more members have sold their lands to Asturias. Furthermore, the task force's message is still not communicated outside of the province. They have yet to receive more recognition outside Batangas. Lastly, there is a widening gap within the community. The once unified community of Baha Talibayog is now faced with growing tensions among its members. Has the task force met its goals? No, the task force is not unsuccessful. It is undeniable that changes can be felt. However, the government has yet to recognize and honor the land rights given to the farmers. Asturias is still adamant about its rights to the land. Have their activities' impacts been greater than those of Asturias? No. Asturias not only has a financial ability to advance their development project, both on the ground and in Manila, they are also committed to persuading members of the community to be in favor of their position. In addition to politicians, local government officials are also in favor of the Asturias Development Project. The task force recognizes that there is a need for a new and revitalized campaign in order to successfully achieve its goals. What are they hoping to do in the future? They want to get more supporters, both within and outside the community, to be able to gain funding. They plan to do this by diversifying their strategies and initiating a social media campaign in order to reach a broader spectrum of support. Ultimately, however, they want to gain undisputed ownership to their land so they can pass it on to the next generation. This, in turn, will pass on the principles and traditions that they value.